Hey everyone. Welcome to AfriHeart Stories, your go-to spot for African tales. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Now sit back and enjoy. From the outside, Emily and Daniel were the couple people envied. Their Instagram feeds were sprinkled with smiling vacation photos, anniversary dinners, and matching holiday sweaters. To the world, they looked like the embodiment of happily ever after. Their house sat proudly on a quiet street, the kind neighbors whispered about, modern, clean, with that perfectly trimmed lawn. Inside, Emily often paused to appreciate her life. She was a successful event planner, detail-oriented and creative. Daniel, a respected architect, carried himself with quiet confidence. Together they seemed unstoppable. Their marriage was the picture-perfect blend of love, stability, and success. But pictures can lie. It started subtly. Daniel had begun coming home later than usual. His excuses, traffic was bad, or the firm needed me, were believable. Emily accepted them. Why wouldn't she? He was her husband, the man who held her hand through storms and whispered promises of forever. And then there was Sophia. Emily's younger sister was a frequent guest in their home. She'd always been close to Emily, and by extension Daniel. She dropped by often, sometimes to borrow a dress, other times to share dinner. At first it felt comforting. Family around made the house warmer. But as time passed, Sophia's presence felt different. Emily noticed the way Sophia lounged on the couch, laughing a little too hard at Daniel's jokes. The way Daniel's eyes lingered on her just a second too long. She brushed it off, reminding herself, it's just family. Don't be paranoid. One evening, Emily walked into the living room after finishing up a call with a client. Daniel and Sophia were watching a movie together, the lights dim. They didn't notice her right away. Sophia's hand brushed Daniel's arm as she giggled at something on screen. Emily froze for a moment. It was innocent, at least it looked that way, but something inside her shifted. Later that night, lying in bed, Emily replayed the moment in her mind. Daniel kissed her forehead goodnight, just as he always did. But she stared at the ceiling, uneasy. Everything okay? Daniel asked softly, noticing her silence. She forced a smile. Of course. Just tired. But Emily wasn't tired. She was alert, hyper-aware. Something felt off. And though she wanted desperately to push it aside, to keep believing in their fairy tale, her gut whispered a warning she couldn't ignore. This was the beginning of a story she never wanted to live. A story of love, betrayal, and the unraveling of the life she thought was perfect. Emily woke one night to the faint glow of Daniel's phone. The clock read 12:47 a.m. She squinted, confused. Daniel never stayed up late. She rolled over, expecting to find him asleep, but instead he was hunched over, thumbs moving quickly across the screen. Can't sleep? She asked, her voice groggy. He jumped, nearly dropping the phone. Oh, just checking an email from work. His words were clipped, hurried. He slid the phone face down on the nightstand. Emily frowned. At 1 a.m? Daniel forced a chuckle. Deadlines don't sleep, Em. He kissed her cheek and turned off the light, but his body felt tense, like a bowstring pulled too tight. Emily lay awake long after. She'd seen the way he quickly flipped the phone over. The way his voice wavered. Something didn't sit right. The next morning she tried to brush it off. Marriage meant trust, and Daniel had never given her a reason to doubt him, at least not until now. But her unease grew when Sophia texted later that day. Sorry, can't make dinner tonight. Busy. Next time, sis. Sophia never missed family dinners. It was their tradition, wine, laughter, stories around the table. Emily's chest tightened. One red flag could be ignored. 2 in the same day? Harder. That evening, Daniel came home smelling faintly of perfume. Not her perfume. Not any she recognized. Emily kissed him, slow and deliberate, searching for answers in his eyes. But Daniel smiled, carrying himself with practiced ease. Long day? She asked. The usual, he replied, loosening his tie. What? You seem off. Emily forced a laugh. Just tired. But inside, her heart whispered a truth she didn't want to hear. Something was wrong. Something was slipping through her fingers, and if she didn't pay attention, she might lose more than she could bear. And so the first cracks appeared, subtle but undeniable. It was past midnight again when Emily awoke to hushed voices. She frowned, slipping out of bed. The house was quiet, save for a faint sound, laughter, from the kitchen. She padded down the hallway, heart pounding. As she reached the doorway, she froze. Daniel and Sophia were standing close, too close. Their whispers blended with soft laughter. Emily caught fragments. Shouldn't Dangerous. But I can't help it. You make me. Her stomach dropped. Sophia touched Daniel's arm, her head tilted toward him like a secret shared. Daniel chuckled under his breath, glancing around as if to make sure no one was watching. Emily's hand gripped the doorframe so tightly her knuckles went white. A wave of nausea surged through her. Need some water? She blurted out, stepping into the kitchen. Both of them jumped, eyes wide. Daniel said, forcing a smile. You scared us. Couldn't sleep? Emily's gaze flicked between them. Yeah. Thought I heard something. Sophia quickly busied herself at the counter, avoiding Emily's eyes. Daniel opened the fridge, pulling out a bottle of water with exaggerated calm. Just talking, he said. Nothing serious. Emily nodded slowly, forcing her lips into a thin smile. Of course. Nothing serious. But as she sipped the water, her hands trembled. Something inside her had cracked wide open. She didn't know the whole truth, not yet, but she knew enough to feel the weight of betrayal pressing down on her chest. And still she said nothing. The cafe was bustling when Rachel spotted them. She blinked twice, certain her eyes were deceiving her. But no, it was Daniel and Sophia sitting together in a corner booth. Rachel froze. Daniel leaned in close, his hand brushing against Sophia's as they laughed. The intimacy was unmistakable. Her stomach churned. She snapped a photo before they noticed and slipped out. Later that evening, Rachel showed up at Emily's door. Hey, I brought wine, Rachel said, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. Emily frowned. What's wrong? They sat on the couch, glasses of red wine untouched. Rachel's voice was gentle but firm. I saw Daniel today. With Sophia. Emily's blood ran cold. Where? At Bella's cafe. They looked close. Rachel hesitated. I don't want to hurt you, but I think you need to know. Emily's chest tightened. Images of Daniel and Sophia whispering in the kitchen flashed through her mind. Rachel, Emily whispered, gripping her glass. It's not possible. She's my sister. Rachel reached for her hand. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But please, open your eyes. Emily forced a laugh, though it sounded hollow. You're overthinking. They're probably just talking about something personal. Rachel didn't argue, but the pity in her eyes said everything. That night, Emily lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Denial was easier than truth. But Rachel's words echoed in her ears, mixing with her own doubts. Her heart wanted to believe in her husband, in her sister. But her gut whispered a darker story. Days turned into weeks, but Emily couldn't shake the gnawing feeling in her chest. She began noticing things she once overlooked. Daniel's shirt carried faint traces of perfume, not hers. Once, she pressed her nose against the fabric, inhaling deeply. It wasn't a brand she recognized, but it was undeniably feminine. New cologne? She asked one night. Daniel smirked. Something like that. At dinner, Sophia avoided Emily's gaze, fiddling with her fork while Daniel told stories. When Emily reached for her hand under the table, Sophia flinched. Everything okay? Emily asked softly. Yeah, Sophia muttered. Just tired. But her voice cracked and Emily felt her stomach knot. Later, Emily caught Daniel on the phone in the garage, speaking in a hushed tone. She pressed her ear against the door. Can't tonight, she'll notice? I'll find a way. Her heart hammered. She stepped back as the door opened, nearly colliding with him. Were you listening? He asked sharply. Emily forced a laugh. No, just looking for you. Daniel studied her for a moment before softening. Work call. Nothing important. But Emily knew better. At night, she stared at him sleeping peacefully, her chest heavy with unspoken questions. Is it true? She thought. Am I losing both my husband and my sister? The evidence was piling up, piece by piece. And though she wasn't ready to confront them, the truth was no longer just a whisper. It was a scream. It was a rainy Thursday evening when Emily's world finally shattered. Daniel had left his phone on the nightstand before rushing into the shower. Normally, Emily would never touch it. She valued privacy, trusted boundaries. But tonight, her hands moved almost without her permission. Her heart pounded as she unlocked it. Daniel wasn't careless. He'd changed his passcode months ago. But fate played its hand. A notification appeared on the lock screen. A message preview. Her breath hitched as she read the words. Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again, Red Heart, Sophia? Emily's blood froze. For a moment, the world went silent. All she could hear was the thundering of her own pulse. Her hands shook as she scrolled through their thread. Dozens of messages. Some playful. Some intimate. some leaving no room for doubt. You're the only one who understands me. When can we sneak away again? Promise me she won't find out. Tears blurred her vision. Her husband. Her sister. The two people she trusted most. The bathroom door creaked open, steam billowing out. Emily quickly locked the phone and placed it back where it was. She wiped her tears just as Daniel stepped out, towel around his waist. Everything okay? He asked, running a hand through his damp hair. Emily forced a smile, her chest tight. Yeah, just tired. Daniel leaned down, kissing her forehead. Get some rest. Big day tomorrow. She nodded, though every muscle in her body screamed. Her life had just broken in half, but she wouldn't let them know. Not yet. That night, Emily lay in bed beside him, silent tears slipping down her cheeks. Anger burned hotter than sorrow. If she exploded now, it would all be for nothing. She whispered into the darkness, a vow only she could hear. You will regret this. And with that, her silent plan began. The next morning, Emily woke up with a new mask. Smiling. Cheerful. Every gesture practiced, every word calculated. If Daniel and Sophia suspected her, they'd shut her out. She needed them comfortable, unguarded. At breakfast, she poured Daniel coffee, humming softly. You're in a good mood, he said, raising an eyebrow. Why wouldn't I be? She replied, smiling sweetly. Life is perfect. Inside, her stomach twisted. But outwardly she played the doting wife. When Sophia dropped by later, Emily embraced her. Sis, we've missed you at dinners. Sophia stiffened slightly but returned the hug. Yeah, sorry, things have been crazy. Emily smiled warmly. We'll fix that. Let's do something soon, just us. Sophia blinked, clearly caught off guard. Sure. Every word, every action was part of Emily's growing strategy. She began saving evidence. Screenshots. Receipts. A copy of Daniel's phone bill. She printed them, tucked them neatly into a folder she kept hidden in her office. At night, while Daniel slept, she typed on her laptop. A private email account. A secure drive. Nothing could be left to chance. The more evidence she gathered, the calmer she became. It was strange, like slipping into a role for one of her events. Only this time, the event would be their undoing. One evening, Daniel leaned back on the couch, watching her fold laundry. You've been glowing lately, he said. What's your secret? Emily met his eyes, her smile unwavering. Happiness, Daniel. Pure happiness. He chuckled, unsuspecting. But Emily wasn't glowing with love. She was glowing with power. The stage was being set piece by piece. And soon the curtain would rise. Emily proposed it casually one night over dinner. You know what we haven't done in a while? A big family gathering. Daniel looked up from his plate. A party? Exactly, Emily said, her tone light. We've all been so busy. Let's invite everyone. Mom, dad, cousins, friends. Let's celebrate life. Sophia, who had stopped by for dinner, raised her glass. That sounds fun. Daniel smiled, relieved. I like it. It's been ages since we hosted. Emily's lips curved into a smile. Inside, her pulse raced. Perfect. The following weeks, she poured herself into planning. Guest list, catering, music, decorations. She left no detail unchecked. Her friends marveled. Emily, you're glowing. What's the occasion? Oh, nothing special, she'd reply with a smile. Just family. But behind the scenes, she was curating something more sinister. She organized the living room to face one wall, a wall where a hidden projector would soon play the truth. At night, she rehearsed in the mirror. Not words of anger. Not screams. But calm sentences, controlled tones. The kind that would slice deeper than rage ever could. Rachel noticed something different. Are you sure you're okay? You seem almost too calm. Emily met her best friend's eyes. I've never been more certain in my life. The invitations went out. RSVPs came flooding back. Everyone was excited. Everyone except for the two people who should have been worried. Because they had no idea the party wasn't for them. Was for the truth. The day of the party arrived, and Emily was a vision of grace. She moved around the house with effortless charm, directing staff, greeting relatives, laughing at jokes. No one could suspect the storm brewing beneath her smile. Daniel adjusted his cufflinks, proud of the evening. You've outdone yourself, Em. The place looks incredible. Emily kissed his cheek. Thank you, love. Tonight will be unforgettable. Sophia floated around in a sleek dress, her laughter too bright, her confidence unshaken. She believed the act. They both did. Emily, however, had carefully placed the final piece earlier that day. The projector was hidden behind a decorative panel. Her laptop was connected, the folder neatly prepared. All it would take was one click. She tested it once while the house was still empty. The screen flickered to life, displaying screenshots of texts. She quickly shut it off, her hands trembling, not with fear but anticipation. As guests began arriving, Emily charmed each one. "So glad you could make it," she said, hugging relatives and ushering them toward the buffet. Daniel wrapped an arm around her waist. "See? Everyone's having a great time. You're amazing." Emily leaned into him, smiling sweetly. "I know." The house buzzed with laughter, music, and clinking glasses. But Emily's mind was on the folder waiting to explode across the screen. Tonight wasn't just a party. It was an execution. The evening sparkled with warmth. Glasses clinked, music played, and family members embraced. The house glowed with candlelight, laughter spilling from every corner. Emily floated among the guests, graceful and composed. Inside, though, her heartbeat was steady, deliberate. Tonight was the culmination of weeks of silence. Daniel basked in the attention, playing the charming husband. He laughed loudly, told stories, refilled drinks. Sophia, radiant in her dress, stayed close to him, too close. Emily noticed the subtle touches, the way their eyes met across the room. Rachel caught Emily's gaze from across the room. Her expression was questioning, almost fearful. Emily answered with a small nod. Later, as the evening reached its peak, Daniel raised a glass. "To family. To love. To my incredible wife, who makes nights like this possible." Everyone clapped, cheering. Emily smiled, lifting her own glass. She looked around the room, faces full of joy, trust, and innocence. Her moment had come. She rose gracefully, the chatter dying down. "Thank you, Daniel," she said warmly. "And thank you all for being here tonight. Family is everything, isn't it?" The guests nodded, murmuring agreement. Daniel beamed at her. Emily's smile widened, her voice steady. "And I want to especially thank my husband for being such a loving partner, and my sister for being such a wonderful support." The room erupted in applause. Daniel and Sophia exchanged proud glances. But Emily wasn't done. She raised her glass higher. "And thank you both for showing me the truth." A hush fell over the room. The calm was over. The storm had arrived. The room was frozen in anticipation, glasses raised, smiles wide. Emily stood poised at the center, her face glowing with calm confidence. "And thank you both for showing me the truth." For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then murmurs rippled across the crowd. Daniel's brows furrowed, a flicker of unease in his eyes. Sophia's smile faltered. "What truth, honey?" Daniel asked, forcing a laugh. "You're being mysterious." Emily tilted her head, savoring the moment. "Oh, don't worry. You'll see." She clinked her glass gently against his and set it down. With graceful steps, she walked toward the hidden projector, her hand steady as she pressed a single button. The lights dimmed. The chatter died. Suddenly, the wall behind her flickered to life. The first image appeared, Daniel's phone screen. A message from Sophia. "Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again, Red Heart." Gasps filled the room. A relative dropped their fork with a loud clink. Emily's voice was calm, smooth. "For weeks I've been collecting these. Texts, calls, receipts. Proof." Daniel shot up from his chair. "Emily, stop. This isn't what it looks like." "Sit down," she said firmly, not raising her voice but slicing him with her tone. The guests shifted uncomfortably. Sophia paled, her hands trembling. Sophia whispered. "Please?" But Emily wasn't finished. "You betrayed me. Both of you. And tonight, everyone gets to see the kind of people you really are." The crowd sat in stunned silence. The party had turned into a courtroom, and Emily was both judge and executioner. The screen lit up again, this time with screenshots of weeks' worth of exchanges. "Daniel, I'll make an excuse. Meet me at the hotel." "Sophia, can't wait. Don't be late, Red Heart." Louder gasps, hands covering mouths. A cousin muttered, "Oh my God." Daniel lunged toward the projector. "Turn it off, Emily. This is private." Emily stepped in front of him, her eyes steel. "Private? You made it public the moment you betrayed your wife with her sister." Sophia's tears spilled. "Emily, I didn't mean for this to happen." "Didn't mean?" Emily snapped, her composure cracking for the first time. "You crept into my home, smiled in my face while sneaking behind my back with him. Don't tell me you didn't mean it." Guests shifted, whispering, eyes darting between the three of them. Daniel raised his hands, desperate. "It was a mistake. I still love you. Emily's laugh was cold. Love? You don't betray the person you love. Not like this. She clicked again. Up came hotel receipts, restaurant bills, photos of Sophia's car parked outside Daniel's office late at night. By now the room buzzed with disbelief, disgust. Every eye was on Daniel and Sophia. Emily turned to her family, her smile returning. And that, dear guests, is the truth. Silence followed, thick, heavy, suffocating. Then like thunder came the whispers. Daniel stood frozen, color drained from his face. Sophia covered her mouth, sobbing. The bombshell had landed. There was no undoing it. Daniel dropped to his knees in front of her. Emily, please. Stop this, I'm begging you. We can fix it. The sight of him, once so proud, now desperate, only fueled Emily's resolve. There's no fixing betrayal, Daniel. Sophia tried to leave, but relatives blocked the way. Where are you going, Sophia? One cousin asked, her tone dripping with disdain. Sophia broke down. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Emily's voice cut through the noise, calm once again. Sorry doesn't erase the nights you stole from me. Sorry doesn't erase the lies you fed me. Both of you. The projector still glowed behind her, evidence impossible to deny. Guests whispered openly now. Unbelievable. With her own sister? Disgusting. Daniel's face burned red, humiliation searing deeper with every murmur. Emily, stop humiliating us. Emily turned to him, her smile icy. Oh, Daniel. I didn't humiliate you. You did that all on your own. Sophia sobbed harder, covering her face. The once adored sister, now the pariah of the room. Rachel stood, raising her glass. To Emily, the strongest woman I know. A murmur of agreement swept through the room. Glasses lifted hesitantly, then firmly. Daniel looked around, realizing in horror, he'd lost not just his wife but everyone's respect. The humiliation was complete. Emily set her glass down gently, her smile unwavering. Thank you all for coming tonight. I know this wasn't the evening you expected, but sometimes the truth demands an audience. She straightened her shoulders, her voice steady. As for me, I'm done. Daniel, Sophia, you can have each other. I'm walking away. The room erupted in whispers, but Emily didn't flinch. She walked past Daniel, who reached for her arm. Please, Emily, don't leave me, he begged, eyes desperate. She pulled her arm back smoothly. You lost me the moment you touched her. Sophia sobbed quietly in the corner, unable to meet her sister's eyes. Emily stepped toward the door, pausing briefly. She turned back, her gaze sweeping across the stunned faces of family and friends. Remember this night, she said softly. Not because of the betrayal, but because I refused to let it break me. With that, she opened the door and walked into the cool night air. The silence behind her was deafening. Only Daniel's broken voice followed. Emily, please. But she didn't turn back. Head high, shoulders squared, Emily walked away from her home, her marriage, her sister's betrayal. She walked into freedom. And for the first time in weeks, she felt light. News traveled fast. By morning, whispers had turned into wildfire. Within the family, within the community, everyone knew. Daniel cheated on Emily, with her sister. At the grocery store, neighbors glanced at Emily with pity, then admiration. You're so brave, one woman whispered. I wish I had your strength. Meanwhile, Daniel faced the opposite. At work, colleagues whispered behind his back. Clients avoided his calls. His reputation, once golden, was tarnished. Sophia wasn't spared either. Friends unfollowed her online, relatives refused to speak to her. Invitations stopped coming. She was an outcast. For Emily, though, life began to change. People reached out, praising her composure, her strength. Rachel became her anchor, reminding her daily, you did the right thing. You exposed them. One evening, Emily sat on her balcony, sipping tea. The air was cool, her heart calmer. Her phone buzzed with messages, strangers writing, your story inspired me. Thank you. Emily smiled faintly. She hadn't shared her story online, not yet. But word of mouth had already made her a quiet legend. Daniel tried calling dozens of times. She ignored everyone. Sophia texted, long apologies filled with tears and regret. Emily didn't reply. The aftermath was painful, yes, but also liberating. For the first time in a long time, Emily felt in control of her life again. And she knew, this was only the beginning. It was a week after the reveal when Emily heard a knock on her apartment door. She knew that knock, hesitant, rhythmic, almost pleading. She opened the door to find Daniel, disheveled and desperate. His once perfect suit was wrinkled, his tie loose, eyes bloodshot. Emily, he said, voice breaking. Please. Just hear me out. She crossed her arms, blocking the doorway. You have 5 minutes. He stepped inside, hands trembling. I messed up. I know that. But it was a mistake. A terrible, stupid mistake. Emily's jaw tightened. A mistake? A mistake happens once, Daniel. This was a choice. Over and over again. He sank onto the couch, burying his face in his hands. I didn't mean to hurt you. Sophia, she came onto me. I was weak. Emily's eyes burned. Wait, you had vows, Daniel. To me. Not to her. He looked up, tears streaming. I love you, Emily. I always have. Please don't throw us away. Her laugh was bitter. Us? There is no us anymore. You threw it away the moment you touched my sister. Daniel reached for her hand, but she pulled back. Please. I'll go to therapy. I'll change. Anything you want. Emily stood tall, her voice steady. The only thing I want is distance. His face crumbled. Silence stretched between them, heavy and final. Emily opened the door. Goodbye, Daniel. He stumbled out, his shoulders sagging. For the first time, Emily felt the weight lift. He was no longer her burden. And she vowed once again never to carry him again. Days later, Sophia showed up at Emily's door. Her eyes were swollen, makeup streaked from crying. Emily, she whispered, voice trembling. Please. Can we talk? Emily let her in, crossing her arms. Say what you came to say. Sophia's hands shook as she twisted a tissue. I'm sorry. I know sorry isn't enough, but I was jealous. You had everything. The house, the career, the husband. And I was lonely. I made a terrible mistake. Emily's chest tightened. You didn't just make a mistake, Sophia. You betrayed me. You destroyed the bond we had. Sophia sobbed. I regret it every second. I hate myself for it. I lost you, my sister, my best friend. Emily's voice was sharp. You didn't just lose me. You lost the right to stand beside me. Family is supposed to protect, not destroy. Sophia fell to her knees. Please forgive me. I can't live knowing I ruined everything. Tears welled in Emily's eyes, but her voice stayed steady. I don't hate you, Sophia. But I'll never trust you again. You cut deeper than anyone else could. Sophia's sobs echoed through the room. Emily turned away, her heart heavy but resolute. You'll have to live with what you've done. Just like Daniel. That's your punishment. Sophia left broken, her cries fading down the hallway. Emily closed the door behind her, leaning against it. The ache of betrayal lingered, but so did her strength. She had chosen herself. Weeks passed and slowly Emily rebuilt. She threw herself into her work, planning events that dazzled clients. Her inbox overflowed with new opportunities. People admired her professionalism, her resilience. One evening Rachel visited. You're glowing, she said, handing over a bottle of wine. Emily laughed softly. It feels good, Rachel. For the first time, I'm living for me. She booked a solo trip to Italy, a dream she had put off for years. She wandered cobblestone streets, drank espresso in tiny cafes, watched sunsets over Tuscan hills. In every photo she posted online, comments poured in. You're an inspiration. Strongest woman I know. Emily felt her confidence grow with every step. She was no longer the wife defined by betrayal. She was Emily, independent, brave, free. At night she journaled. She wrote not about pain but about growth. About rediscovering her worth. Her story was no longer about Daniel and Sophia. It was about survival, rebirth, power. When she returned home, friends greeted her with admiration. You look like a new person, one said. Emily smiled. That's because I am. The betrayal had scarred her, yes. But it also forged her into something stronger. And she vowed never to settle for less than she deserved again. Emily's story began spreading further than she expected. Friends told friends who told others. Soon strangers messaged her online. Your courage gave me strength to leave my cheating husband. Thank you for showing me that I'm not alone. I thought I was broken, but you helped me believe I can heal. Emily read each message, tears in her eyes. Her pain had turned into someone else's hope. She decided to share more. She wrote a heartfelt post. Betrayal doesn't define you. Freeze you. Because once the truth is out, you have the power to start again. The post went viral. Thousands of likes. Hundreds of comments. Messages of love and admiration poured in. Rachel called her, laughing. You're basically famous now. Emily chuckled. Not famous. Just real. For the first time, Emily realized her story wasn't just hers. It was a beacon. A reminder to countless others that betrayal wasn't the end, it was the beginning. Her pain had built a bridge, and through it she was connecting with people across the world. And in their voices she found healing of her own. Months later, Emily attended a family reunion. The atmosphere buzzed with chatter and laughter. She walked in confidently, head high, wearing a simple but elegant dress. Whispers followed her. Not of pity but of admiration. Then she saw them. Daniel and Sophia standing awkwardly in a corner. Their eyes downcast, shoulders slumped. No one flocked to them. Conversation stopped when they approached. They were outcasts in their own family. Emily approached calmly, a warm smile on her lips. "Hello, Daniel." "Sophia." They looked up, startled. Daniel's eyes searched hers for a trace of softness. Sophia bit her lip, tears threatening again. Emily didn't linger. She smiled politely, then turned back to her cousins, laughing lightly as she rejoined them. Her message was clear. The best revenge wasn't screaming. It wasn't even exposing them. It was living well, thriving, glowing, showing the world she was stronger than ever. Later that evening as she left, a cousin whispered, "You're incredible, Emily." "Truly." Emily smiled, stepping into the night air. The chapter of betrayal was behind her. The chapter of freedom, strength, and joy lay ahead. Her final word wasn't spoken aloud, it was lived. And it was this: "I won." Liked it? Thumbs up, subscribe, and join the AfriHeart fam. Your support fuels our stories. Until next time.